Hey everyone, the birds are calling, the tree frogs are calling. A storm is coming in here pretty soon, but before it does, let's talk about Cotoneaster. This is Shady Bonsai. Hey everyone, this is going to be a fun one, I think. This is a Cotoneaster. This is one of my experimental trees. If you're kind of new to the channel, what I'm doing is trying to find out what species will grow in my shady yard here that I can use for bonsai. I used to be in a very sunny location, now I'm in a very shady location. So I'm having to kind of rethink all my species. This one is poking me in the ear. This one I picked up at a hardware store, nursery, last November, and I think I paid $5 for it. I mean, it was the very last day. They were just closing everything out, and I kind of said, what the heck, let's go for it, let's see what happens. And you know what, it's done really well. I didn't think it would. I know some Cotoneasters like a lot more sun. This particular variety perhaps does a little bit better in partial shade. You know, today I may not really get any real direct sun at all. Like I said, my yard, 3, maybe 4 hours of sun, but right now we are in that prime sun time. The sun is right up there behind a whole bunch of clouds. So some days I get no direct sun because of the weather patterns. And that's true for everybody, but it's even more true when your window is only, you know, a few hours. If it's cloudy, say in the morning, that's it. I don't get any sun that day. This tree is pretty happy. As you can see, it is just really putting on all kinds of growth here, looking real leggy and kind of crazy. Let's go to the photos, see what it looked like last November. Here's what it looked like when I picked it up from the garden center in the pot. And then I did hack it back, do some pretty hard cutbacks in the winter time, so be ready for spring. And then it started to push out new growth, and it's been super happy. Here it is today. It's got lots of growth on it. I did repot it and cut it back in the same session. Pretty young tree though, so I felt pretty confident in doing that in the springtime. It was such a vigorous grower, had so much energy that it had stored up, and I think it did okay with that. So sometimes that'll kill your tree, doing 2 things at once. There's definitely some species I'm not going to do that on, where I will say cut it back and leave it in its garden center container for a year and then repot it the next year. You also would get more vigorous growth probably in that garden center container than you would in a bonsai pot. So as fun as it is to get it into a pot, you know, you don't have to. And I think I kind of did this just because I didn't have any trees in pots anymore after all my trees had died in the past. So getting back into this, I'm like, I want to put a tree in a bonsai pot. This bonsai pot is kind of special. There's nothing particularly special about it. I picked it out because it had kind of the right depth. I didn't want to go too hard on the root system on this tree right away. It's a pretty deep pot. I also think the blue looks nice with the green of the leaves. This is a very cheap Chinese pot. I believe this was actually perhaps my first ever bonsai pot. It's a Bonsai pot that had a juniper in it that I got when I had no idea what I was doing, you know, over 20 years ago. And I've kept the pot. And I think it's kind of fun to put other trees in it once in a while and make something pretty out of it. So let's start talking about this tree. One of the things I really liked, and I'll show you from this side, and maybe we can cut in a little bit closer here. It's got a really nice trunk, and it already had some nice secondary branching. So really, I was kind of thinking what I really need to be working on is the tertiary branching. So I already kind of had a jump start on that. This particular one, which again was one of like maybe 2 or 3 left at the garden center, everybody had passed it over. Everybody didn't like it. It was just sitting there waiting for me. Now I've been selectively pruning. I've got wire on this little branch right here. There's some wire on this one, this one, this one. Up here there's wire on this. So definitely have wire on here, trying to sort of set some structure. That'll probably stay on until the fall when leaves start to kind of die back on trees and they go more into that vascular growth and start putting on girth into those branches. That's when I kind of need to start looking for wire bite. It's probably more in the fall. But you can see I've grown out some branches. Look at this. This sacrifice branch here is really big because I didn't have or there was a branch here, I guess, that I cut off that I was probably really long and straight, you know, and not maybe good for what I needed. This new branch has grown up here, and I think I want to keep this one I would like it to be long. I'm gonna let the dog in. I think I want to develop this out into a branch because there is an empty space here that I feel could benefit from that. So leaving that, I want to cut it off so bad because it looks so dumb. We got to be comfortable having dumb, ugly trees for a while. Sacrifice branches are part of the game here. So that one's going to stay on there. Wish it wasn't going to. Let's take off some of this stuff though that doesn't need to be here. You know, and some of these I like to come in and just snip some of these long ones off so they're not poking me in the face. That's not the final cut location, but just start shaping things up a little bit, all right? Sort of a shaping prune. And then I'm gonna decide, where do I wanna start here? Let's just start here from the front. These lowest branches, these have not grown a ton, probably getting a little bit shaded out, right? So I'm gonna leave those and I can do anything to those. They're kind of the perfect length right now. Like to be have a little more girth on them, but the length is really good. This one here, kind of comes down, curves a bit. I might adjust the position a little bit on that. It's got wire on it, so I can do that. You know, this is gonna grow up and out. Now, I always think about where's it gonna go next. If this keeps on growing, this is gonna come up this way like this, which is gonna look really weird. So can I trim that back? Absolutely. Take that off right there, okay? That's gonna hopefully make this branch start to grow that way from this leaf right here. It'll clip and grow. That's a nice movement. I like that. Guess I am on that branch now. Let's see, no other problems on that. Everything's nice and tight and small. We'll come on up over to this big branch on this side here. This has got this long one coming off the back. There's my sacrifice. I've got a short branch here that's been trimmed off and then is growing this way. That's fine. This one comes here and goes down. That's fine. This one's going out, but this is about to get way too long. I'm going to cut back to, let's say, here. Take that off. This one coming up off the top is too long. And actually, I don't know if I want anything growing up at all in that spot. Yeah, I think that whole thing's going to come off, actually. Maybe I'll leave a little stub. Tell you what, I'll leave a little stub, and we'll see what happens there. And then let's kind of turn it toward us here. There's a lot going on in here. We're getting some nice little ramification. Is it too thick? Are there leaves going in strange spots? Oh, a little spider nest in there, a little spider web. That's fine. The spiders are my gardening crew. They're eating all the bad insects, so they're welcome to be here. No problem with them. The more I look at this though, that one I was trimmed back, yeah, it's going away. It's just going to cover up the branches underneath it. It's going to be causing trouble. There's a nub on there. I'm going to take that whole nub off there, okay? That looks much better. I have this branch here that I now see that's growing on top of these. It's coming from all the way over here on this. That's weird to be crossing over everything. I want to keep the growth of that branch a little more compact to where it should be. It's going to stay in its own lane. So that is coming off of there. Now I have one kind of branch I'm developing here and one, I don't know if you can see that, one up in here. It's a separate thing. I'm keeping it in its own area, okay? Tell you what, let's zoom in a bit more. Get the camera a little bit closer so you're not looking at me, you're looking at the tree. How's that sound? All right, that's better, right? You can see a bit more in there. Okay, so we got this branch is looking really nice. This one's looking really nice. Let's look at this half of this one over here. This shoot is obviously very long. Don't need it that long. Thinking about which way I want to go. This is an alternate leaf pattern, left, right, left, right. So I'm thinking about where I cut is going to determine where the branch grows in the future. I do have some wire on here. What the heck? Look at this. This branch, something happened and it got like shoved up in there. That completely changes the view of what that was. That's wild. I don't know how that branch got like that. If an animal hit it or a storm got something branch fell on it and pushed it up there, but that really changes the feel of things. I put a lot of curves into this branch here. See if we can see that. I put a bunch of, I could probably even do more like this, okay? Lots of curves with that wire. It gets really crazy up by the end. I don't expect that whole thing to thicken up and use it all. Once this thickens up, it's probably gonna cut back to like here. But I'm gonna put those curves in there because who knows? Like if it does end up being really cool and working out great, I might as well leave it. So I'm gonna wire it up as though I'm gonna use the whole thing. Most of these branches will probably be cut back to just a couple inches in their final form. But I'm going to go ahead and treat them as though they're going to get remain that long. The thing is, they wouldn't have a lot of taper if I actually were to just keep letting them grow like that. But we're going to go with it for now. This one again, I'm going to come in, just trim it up a little bit, make it a little bit shorter. I don't love the length of this. If I look at sort of the whole tree, I've got this much of the trunk, and then this distance of the next branch, and then this next branch up here. The distance of this is longer than the distance here, okay? And that, to me, is wrong. That's not generally how a lot of trees grow. You're gonna see smaller and smaller sections as you go up. So, you know, long term, I may actually want to cut this back to like here. And you know what? No time like the present, right? If it's wrong, why bother working on it and growing it like that? I'm going to take that right off. Now, this is not necessarily the right tool for the job. I may want to come back and clean that up a little bit later. But this little bit right here is now going to become the new growth on that. It's going to take the branch this way a bit. It may end up being a little close to these long term then. So maybe like this one, I can go ahead and take off right now because I know that that's going to grow that way. Give it a little room to grow into. I think that was a good idea. All right, coming up here on the top then. This thing goes up this way. It is pretty crazy long. Got a little stub here, so clearly I have already trimmed that once and you can't hardly even tell. It was there and I went to here. Problem is, when I cut it, it just kind of kept growing in the same direction that it was originally. Didn't get any movement out of that. That is unfortunate, but I did get some, you know, some taper in there. We'll do it again. We'll find the new spot. We're just going to cut right here. Okay. Again, that's what I got to stop myself though, because that's too long. Look at that distance there. Look at that distance there. It's too long, you guys. We got to bring this all the way back to like here and make this the new leader on that branch. Okay. So that's going to be much nicer looking. I want to turn a corner before it gets too far out. So that is my corner. I can actually take that back a little bit tighter, okay? I'm getting a little bit of like a bar branch situation going here, potentially. Got to kind of watch out for that in the future. For now, well, look, I already did cut this back once. I'm gonna let that grow. I don't want to cut it back too fast. Hey, there's part of my garden crew right there. Little spider. Keep doing your job, buddy. Keep all the aphids off here. All right. This shoot here is problematic. It's growing kind of out of a spot that I'm worried, I don't know if you can see in there, I'm worried I'm going to get a knuckle there. It's already kind of big. I got a couple things growing out of there. This small one is going to go. We're going to save this bigger one. Now, I left a bit of a stub here. I don't want to cut it back quite. Let me see. I'll cut it back a little bit, see if it's dry in there. Ooh, it feels pretty hard to cut. Yeah, it's dry. It's drying up. I want to make sure that it's nice and dry before I cut that back all the way necessarily. Okay, this one, interesting. I like the movement this way. I'm going to take this off. It's not necessary, and it's running into this branch over here. Again, this is probably too long, but I want to let it grow, get a little bigger before I cut it back much more. All right, nice. I got this big thing up here. Let me look at it from, I think this is my front in here. Look at this giant thing up here. No way. What is going on there? Oh, I know what's going on there. So I made this really wild cut. Sort of an experiment. And if you can see, hopefully you can see this right here. This is a cut that I want to heal over. I don't know if it will. It's a ridiculous cut that I made. Just to sort of see what would happen. This is helping this heal. That's really the only reason it's on there. Let me see. Yeah, man. But this may even be a better eventual one than this. I'm going to leave this as an experiment. I can trim it back a little bit just to make my tree look a bit nicer and not so out of proportion on the bench, but that's kind of interesting. Now, this one I tucked down under here. It's growing right through the middle of the tree. I don't want it on here at all. Tucked it under there one day as I was looking at the tree. Didn't have my scissors on me. But I'm going to take that just completely off. It's growing right through the middle of the tree, kind of ruining all my lines. Don't love that. This has got wire on it, but like almost no movement. I'm not sure if it, got kind of bumped or what. line. We're gonna go down, out like this. Add some funky movement in there. Liking this side of the tree here. It's getting good. So coming on back now, man, I really hate this up here. And this sacrifice branch, ignore that. This is starting to shape up into something that's looking a little bit nicer here. Definitely time to water it, but we got a huge rainstorm coming in about an hour here, so I'm not too worried about that. All right, so there we have it. Cotoneaster number 1, trimmed up kind of late summer here. It'll get a final trim in essentially the winter time, like late fall, midwinter or so. It'll get trimmed up again, getting ready for any final changes we want to make before it flushes out in spring. I'm assuming it's going to do even better next summer because it won't have been repotted and be having to deal with regrowing roots and whatnot. So really excited for what's going to happen with this one next year. It's got a fun, little trunk. I've been keeping my eyes open for other, Cotoneasters of this same type when I go to some of the garden centers. I just haven't seen anything that has a trunk that I like as much as this. So I think I kind of lucked out for $5. Crazy, crazy thing. Will it ever be some spectacular tree? I mean, not in the next 5 years at least, but it may grow into something kind of fun. And I'm enjoying it and finding out what works here in my shady yard. So there it is. Give it the spin around. Obviously got a couple sacrifice branches on there, so looking a little bit funky right now. Just got to kind of ignore those and think about what the shape of this tree is gonna be like years down the road. I think it's got some potential. Kind of fun little Shohin tree here. So thanks for joining me this week. This is Shady Bonsai.